An organization's culture has a strong influence on whether harassment occurs and what's done about it. In organizations with a supportive culture, everyone understands what counts as appropriate behavior and what counts as harassment. This understanding is often the result of strong leadership and clear guidelines. An organization's culture consists of 6 key points. Vision. A fundamental part of any organization's culture is the reason that organization exists in the first place. This is usually expressed in the vision or mission statement. Ideally, the vision will provide a compelling focus for everyone in the organization to aspire to and directly connect to their part in the organization. Values. These provide a tangible set of guidelines for an organization and are often expressed in terms of a set of beliefs or core principles that guide the activities of the organization. An important part of an organization's values can be seen in how it answers questions such as, how much freedom do employees have to make independent decisions? Does the organization support employee-generated ideas and provide the freedom to implement those ideas? Practices. An organization's practices are the visible signs of that organization's vision and values. How the organization practices its business can include how information flows through the organization and how various stakeholders in the organization are treated. Does the organization share information freely? Or is information compartmentalized and shared on a need-to-know basis? Are employees empowered to make decisions and act on them? Or does power strictly flow down from the top of the organization? People. An organization can't put its vision and values into practice without people. Often, organizations will focus their hiring practices on the principle of cultural fit to ensure that employees' values align with the organization's vision and values. Do employees believe in the work they're doing because they believe in the aims of the organization? How would employees and managers describe their job? Do the people in the organization see their work as vital to a larger mission or just as something to be done to earn a paycheck? Narrative. This element refers to how an organization tells its story to the outside world, including stakeholder groups such as customers, shareholders, and the broader community. This can be a key point in the success of an organization, as the best ones usually provide a clear and consistent message of what their vision is and what values they abide by in putting this vision into practice. And place. This refers to the physical location of the organization, its infrastructure, office space, and remote work accommodations. Organizations are increasingly recognizing the influence that location and space have on their employees. As remote work becomes more common, innovative ideas about how to address this ascent of organizational culture will develop to address the specific concerns of remote workers. Each of these elements plays a role in how an organization operates on a day-to-day basis, and they inform how the culture influences the actions of the people in the organization. That means these elements will directly influence the incidence of harassment in remote work environments. With these elements in place, it's easier for the organization to accommodate remote workers and be confident that the same values that guide the culture in person will carry over to remote work. To achieve this, it's suggested that remote work be seen as an integral part of the organizational culture and not an afterthought. Best practices are for remote work to be as highly valued as in-person work, and the values which guide procedures in person need to be carried over to remote work with appropriate modifications. Understanding harassment in remote work environments will include the recognition that changes to an organization's policies and procedures regarding harassment will have to adapt to the differences in the remote environment. The clearer an organization's culture is, the easier it will be to transition to remote work. One of the best ways to clarify an organization's culture is to start by asking, why? This isn't just asking why remote work is in place or why the organization is establishing remote policies. Rather, this is a broad question asking why the organization exists in the first place. The why question defines the organization's culture and clarifies both what the organization does and how it does it. This also provides a clear blueprint for how the organization addresses both remote work and harassment. Once an organization answers the question of why, it becomes easier for everyone in the organization to know what to do. Another vital component of the organization's culture is how it prioritizes its stakeholders. A common theme in many organizational cultures is to put their customers first. But if the customers come first, that means the employees come second. Putting your employees second leads to potential problems because it offers a ready justification for harassment. It can unfortunately become the price the organization is willing to pay to serve the customer. As organizations increasingly view remote work as an economic necessity, this price becomes less difficult to pay, as the costs of harassment are easier to hide in a remote setting. This is why a strong, employee-first culture is important to establish well before any instances of remote harassment can take place.